Hi there, and today I'm talking about this image from the point of view of distractions, analyzing the image for things that are going to distract our viewer from our subject, things that may interfere with the viewer's enjoyment of our image, distractions. And it's one way to analyze your image as you start editing. And one of the things that we can do is just to create I'm just going to create a kind of annotation layer here. And I'm just going to mark up my image on this layer. So when I study this image, the first thing that strikes me is that the perspective, the way that the camera was being held in relation to the subject, means that I'm just putting a vertical guide on here to show you exactly what I mean. We can see that this element of the window behind the model doesn't appear to be straight, it appears to be skewed. And I think that's something that I'm really going to want to get rid of. On this side, on the left-hand side, the window's pretty much okay. So it's really just this this piece here. So I'm going to just, my little brush, I'm just going to mark this up. The next thing is I noticed that if we go in a bit more, on this area of the window, we've captured some very nice bokeh from this is the garden of the house, which we can see behind her. And on this side, it looks really nice. However, over here, we have some distractions. We have some raindrops, which are nice. But the window isn't entirely clean, and so we've got some sort of specks of stuff here on the window. We've got a sort of fairly serious kind of splodge of something. And down here, where we can see the reflection of the model's back, we've got some kind of artifacts there which are sort of annoying me a bit. So I'm going to mark those up. The other thing I notice is just in terms of luminosity, I'm just going to quickly put a threshold on, just to kind of show you, sort of really point up the fact that the luminosity on the left-hand side of the image is pretty strong. So I think that I'm probably going to find this, particularly this area here, a little bit distracting. I don't really want, strong areas of luminosity in other areas of the image to compete with my subject. I want her to be the center of the luminosity of the image visually. So that's another thing. I'm also noticing there's a bit of door furniture up here, which I feel isn't really helping us all that much. So I'm just marking that up as a potential candidate to just maybe remove that. And then I think I'm probably going to I'm going to clean her face up a bit. And I'm detecting a number of some of these little marks on her face, which I might decide to take away. I think her hair is great. The tattoo is great. I might clean some of these areas on her chest a little bit, and on her neck, and possibly on her arm as well. I mean, I would normally do that sort of thing anyway, but I'm just, because we're talking specifically about distractions, I thought I would just kind of point that out. So let's just, we'll switch the markup off for now. We've got that and we can come back to that later. And I'm going to delete the threshold layer, which I have used for convenience, so I don't want to keep that in the image. So I'll just delete that. And so the first thing I'm going to try and address is this perspective thing. I could go into lens correction, but I know that I can pull this forward vertically, but I'm probably going to affect the perspective on her face too much. So what I'm really thinking is that I'm going to just crop this. I've got my image size template selected, my usual 5763/840 template. And I'm going to switch on content aware crop because I'd like Photoshop to kind of fill in any gaps for me, which I think will work fine on this image. And I'm just going to do a transform in the crop to straighten it to, I think, probably about there. Let's try that. Okay, and we can see if I switch that off, you can just see what Content Aware has done. It's just filled in some pixels for us. But I think it's done quite a nice job of straightening. Now, if I wanted to, I think the left-hand side of the image is okay actually. I mean, this vertical here is not perfect, but I think it's all right really. And the main thing I wanted was to straighten this area, this window furniture immediately behind the subject. So I'm pretty happy with that now. So now I'm going to lose my guide. And I think what I'll do is I'll just move on to the next thing I was concerned about. We'll look at this luminosity thing on the left here, I think. So I'm not, at this point, I'm not entirely sure what the final crop is going to look like. I think it's probably not going to be a million miles away from this. She's not centered, as if her her torso is centered and her head is pushed back. I mean, I could aim to center her head. I'm not sure. I'm maybe going to think about that some more. I mean, I could just crop this guy out. So we could have something like that. And I could crop in on the top of her head. But what I'm thinking at the moment is what I'm going to do. Actually, I'm just going to copy that. And I'm just going to use Mixer Brush to I'm going to turn my flow up a little bit. I've got my flow set pretty delicate, so. And I'm going to use Mixer Brush to just remove this this reflected light here, which I've found distracting. And that's a pretty simple, quick way to do that. I'm just going to smooth down the side here. And if I switch that off and on again, you can see that that's one way to just remove that distraction, is just kind of mix it into the environment where it's sitting. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'll just fold that in. I'm going to fold all this in now. And now I can go back to my annotation and just remind myself of what were the things that we were concerned about. We have this bit of door furniture just sitting above her head. I'm just going to come in and take a bit of a closer look at that now. I'm thinking really that I might just try and clone this out. So I'll go into my clone tool. And just remove this. I've got a slight problem here because I'm straying into these flyaway hairs on the top of her head. But I think I'll be okay. And what I'm doing here is, whoops, don't like that. I'm using the clone tool to just do the main work of sort of ironing this out. But I'm not worrying too much about how it looks at the moment. It's a bit of a mess at the moment. Because what I'm going to do is I'm also going to run Mixer Brush here just to smooth this out. So we get a nice smooth finish on that area. These little flyaways here aren't all that prominent. I mean, I might, we could argue that we should just remove those anyway, actually. Just mix those out anyway. Okay, so I think that looks like it's going to be all right. So I've just removed another distraction, which it's just an artifact, an element in the image that is distracting attention away from our subject, which as a result we feel that we could quite happily get rid of it. So let's go back to our notes and remind ourselves. So we've dealt with this luminosity now. We've dealt with this artifact on the door. We've dealt with the vertical. The other thing we wanted to do was just some cleanup on here, wasn't it? So I'm just going to zoom in. And I'll just fold that in, make another copy. I'm thinking that what I'll do now is just trying to find my spot heel. I'm just gonna do some work to remove anything that I'm thinking that the raindrops are like some of these what is in fact sort of crap on the window. I think it's actually a little bit, it's a bit difficult for me to tell which is which, to be honest. I think that's rain there, isn't it? We've got yeah, we've got some things here which aren't that nice. So I can just kind of spot these out. And while I'm doing this, I'm probably thinking that I'm going to mix this a little bit anyway. So you know, I'm quite familiar situation for me. I'm quite often thinking of, you know, there's going to be more than one operation, and perhaps the first operation is going to take me part of the way, and then I'm going to do something else which is going to, that is just kind of driplets of rain, I think, there. This is a bit strange, this area here, so I'm probably going to mix that. But anyway, not without sort of spending all day on it. That's the kind of approach I've got, and I'm now going to fold that in. I'm going to make another copy, and I'm going to do some mixing on here as well. I want the flow fairly subtle for this. Go down to about 15. And I'm just really mixing to, I'm just smoothing out this bouquet. And if I do that, it's fairly subtle, but I think you can see that we've just smoothed things out. A little bit more there. The raindrops aren't barely visible, aren't they? Really, if we zoom out and look at that, you know, I don't think the viewer is going to be terribly conscious of these raindrops, actually. And sometimes when you're smoothing, it's quite a good idea to zoom out and work, you know, get quite so close to it. While I'm at it, if I wanted to just do a little bit of smoothing over here, I could do, but I mean, none of this is just, I mean, this is just sort of nice background bokeh, so I don't find it distracting. Okay, so mix a brush on the window just to kind of smooth things out, and if we pull that off, you'll probably be able to see it's a fairly subtle effect, but we've just smoothed this area and improved it, I think. If we go back to our annotation, yep, this was the things we were concerned about. Switch that off again. And then I think, talking about distractions, we would probably, I would probably move on and do some skin work now. So she has these kind of small, I don't know if she's had a piercing or something here. She maybe had some kind of jewelry piercing or something like that. I mean, I could keep those, I could lose them, but for purposes of this, I think we'll lose them. So I'm just going to spot these out. And then, just the normal kind of skin cleaning stuff. She's got very good skin, this lady, actually. But there are just some small artifacts on her skin which we could manage without. So we would just go around and clean those up in our usual fashion. But I'm not really heavily talking about skin cleaning or skin smoothing in this video. I'm talking about distractions, and so I think I'm just doing this because these things like blemishes on the face, on the skin, are very much classified as distractions. I mean, we often treat them as a separate. Got a little flyaway there, which we'll lose. Something here. Maybe just clean that up. And then we're into the whole thing of working on the face and the hair and cleaning up. We just toggle that off. You can see we've removed quite a lot of artifacts from her skin there already. And then we might easily, as our edit progresses, I'm not really trying to do a full process edit here. I'm just trying to limit myself to focusing on the distractions, and I hope you can see how this approach of just trying to up front analyze what are the distractions in this image, what are the things that are taking my viewer's attention away from my subject potentially. And so we've used this markup layer, which helps to keep us on track and helps to sort of remind us of what as we progress through the edit, reminds us of what we originally thought was problematic. And so it's enabled us to kind of progress through these various issues in a sort of fairly efficient way, and keep an eye on the things that we wanted to fix in the image. So at this stage, obviously there's a lot more we can do with this image, and a lot more that I would do, but I'm going to leave it there for now because, as I say, I really just wanted to highlight this issue of distraction and this approach of analyzing your image in terms of distracting elements and artifacts and things that you would like to fix. I suppose in some ways you could sort of think of this as a pass, which is focusing on distractions, and almost as a kind of cleanup, a kind of big cleanup exercise, where we might say that, well, now we've removed the distractions from the image, and we're now ready to perhaps to focus on the sort of artistic side of the edit, and perhaps on really bringing the subject out as much as we can. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching and listening once again, and I hope that's useful, and see you next time.